Please join me in welcoming Mayor Koch.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mayor Koch, thank you so much for being with us this afternoon for the screening. Love to ask you a question about the process of making the film. Did you agree right away to be the subject of this film?
Well, the way it was initiated, my former chief of staff, Diane Coffey, both in Washington and at City Hall, called me to say she had a conversation with Neil Barsky and that he wanted to make a film and that she thought he was responsible and trustworthy and that I ought to talk to him. And I did. And I said I would on the single occasion. And it was understood it was his film. I had no control of any kind. I asked for only one caveat, and that was that when he finished the film, that he would show it to me before he produced it publicly, so as to allow me to make comments on what I thought was wrong or should be changed in any form, and that it would be his decision as to what, if anything, should be done. And when I saw the film, and there are good things, bad things, and so forth, I asked for nothing. I asked for no changes at all.
And I think Neil Barsky is in the back. Can we get a wave? And also Diane Coffey is here. Thank you so much for being here. You've spent so many years in the public eye on different types of media. How is being part of a documentary film different or not to your other experiences in the media?
Well, it's totally different. In the media, and the media treated me fairly. Some people didn't like me. Most of them, I think, did. But they treated me fairly, and I have no complaints. I gave as good as I got. I thought that a lot of politicians, and politician is a good word, and people in public office, are afraid of the media. I was not afraid of the media. I knew more than they did about city government. And so I had no hesitation in taking questions and responding forcefully. But most of the time courteously, not all the time, regrettably. Now the movie, I had no direction as it related to it. I had no controls at all. I mean, I did what I do naturally. I'm myself. I didn't change myself one whit. But they, we want you to walk down the hall, or the interviews and so forth. So it's totally different, but I enjoyed it.
Great. Among the many projects you're working on now, you do movie reviews. So
I do.
Will you be reviewing this film?
I will be reviewing it, sure. Yeah, I will.
And I understand...
and I'm going to give it 5 stars.
That's great. And I understand it's opening in New York on February 1st, so congratulations. We can take some questions from the audience.
Now, you'll repeat them, because
Yes.
I have a hearing problem, and the hearing aids are being repaired, so the question will have to be repeated.
Yes.
Speaking of a movie review, how would you start your review? What would be the first line?
The question is, what would be the first line of your review of this film?
I saw New York below the plane, and it belonged to me.
Yes. Who's going to be the next mayor of New York City?
Well, that's really very difficult to say. I am supporting Christine Quinn, and I think that the two who will be at the top of the list and probably have a runoff will be she and Billy Thompson. And they're both very able. I know them both. I believe that Christine will be better for the city. Billy Thompson is a very decent man.
Yes.
All the comments made about you in the film, were there any that surprised you?
Of all the comments made about you in the film, were there any that surprised you?
Yes. Wayne Barrett. Wayne Barrett said that he thinks that my housing program contributed as much as anything else, including that which Giuliani did, to reducing crime in the city. You may remember he said, it's bigger than the pyramids.
Yes.
Has Andrew Cuomo reached out to you since the movie came out? Did he say anything about what happened on election night?
Has Andrew Cuomo reached out to you since the movie came out? But it
Well, I've
hasn't
seen
actually.
Andrew Cuomo several times. Yeah, sure. No. What?
How is your relationship?
Okay. There was a time when I held both Andrew Cuomo and Mario Cuomo, governor, responsible for those placards which were shocking, vote for Cuomo, not the homo. And I held them both responsible. I had called Governor Cuomo, now Governor Cuomo, then candidate, to tell him, did he know about it? Somebody in his campaign do something. Nothing was done. Andrew came to see me when he ran for Attorney General. And he said, I had nothing to do with that. And I said to myself, not just at that time, but even earlier and certainly later, as you get older, there's a limited amount of energy you have. It's foolish to carry grudges. So he told me he had nothing to do with it. I accepted. But even if he had something to do with it, I still accept it because I don't want to waste my energy on grudges. Now, that's the absolute truth. So we're not intimate friends. We never were before. I'm sure we won't be in the future. We have each our own circle of friends. But we are cordial to one another, and I've supported him for Attorney General and for governor. And just so that everybody understands, you know, when I went to see the various candidates who were winning, who I had supported, like Governor Cuomo, at their hotels. And I mean, that's normal, and it's difficult for me to get around. I mean, I walk with a cane. I think then I didn't use a cane, but I had difficulty walking. I have spinal stenosis, which is low back pain. It's very difficult. So I go to the hotel to pay my respects, and we send up a young staffer, and he comes back and he says, the governor's people say he's not seeing anybody until after he announces victory. Well, that's not normal. And so, and I was wired for the purposes of the movie, right? So I said, what a schmuck. First, schmuck means jerk in this Jewish audience. And it was, I had expended enormous energy getting there. It wasn't a personal. All I'm simply saying it wasn't a personal. And who knows who made the decision for him. So I say that because on Saturday post had a depiction of what I've just told you now.
Yes.
When you said in the movie that you realized it was a mistake to close Sydenham, was that because you should have kept the hospital in a lower economic area or because of the racial kind of backlash?
Question is, in the film, when you say it was a mistake to have closed Sydenham, was it because of the...
I'm explaining that to you. I've explained that 100 times, but I'm going to do it again because you haven't heard the others. And I have. There's no question that when I ran for mayor, and the black supporters in Harlem particularly said to me, will you keep Sydenham open? I didn't know much about Sydenham. Why shouldn't I keep it open? Of course I'll keep it open. And I made the commitment, no question about it. Now I'm in office. The city's on the edge of bankruptcy. Sydenham, which is one of 17 city hospitals. No other city in the country has more than one city hospital, municipal. We have 17. I think we have 15 now, but then what? All right. The medical people tell me it's providing terrible service. Cops tell me if I'm shot in Sydenham's foyer, please get me out and take me to Bellevue. It's terrible treatment. The head of the hospital, the doctor in charge of medical care, is a dentist. Now, every mayor before me, going back to Wagner and perhaps before, said they're going to close it. The cost of each patient is more than our best hospital charges for treatment. That's Bellevue. And I say, on the merits, let's close it. And it was the right decision, except for the fact that I did not take into consideration the psychological aspect. Sydenham was a hospital that endeared itself to the black community because there was a time in this city when hospitals would not take on their staffs or admitting privileges black doctors. And Sydenham was opened for that purpose. So psychologically, it had an enormous attachment to it. I didn't take that into consideration. On the merits, it was right. But from a common sense point of view, it was wrong. I did it on the merits. Now, not long ago, several years, Steve Berger was commissioned by Governor Cuomo to close hospitals in the city and the state of New York. And I was in the audience. And he saw me and he said, do you have a question, Mayor? And I said, do you think, his panel was there, 5 or 6 people, experts, do you think I did the right thing in closing Sydenham? Of course you did. And I'm saying to myself, you don't know the half of it. And the truth, and that's what I've said. And there's no question what I've just told you is right. On the merits, it was right to close. Common sense, for the history, it was wrong to close. And I've told this to black communities. Yes.
I think we have time for one more. Yes.
If you had the opportunity to go to Washington, what would you do to fix it?
If you had the opportunity to go to Washington, what would you do to fix it?
First, I throw the bums out. And they are bums. They are bums. When you consider how they play with the health and safety, economic safety primarily, of this country. It's outrageous. It's just outrageous. And it's not hard to do what has to be done. It was done by Simpson Bowles. If you don't like what they did, do something like what they did, but your own terms. We now have a $16 trillion deficit, and in the next 10 years, it will be another 4 of the estimates, $20 trillion. Of every dollar we spend 40% of that dollar is borrowed, primarily from China, where we get 6 cents of the 40 cents of every dollar. So for us to continue what we're doing, and everybody knows there was a debate, and it was sort of accepted that for every dollar of increase in revenue, there would be $3 of reductions in expenditures. The president said that. Every leader in Congress said that. And you know what they ended up with? They ended up with, for every dollar of revenue, less than $1 in expense reductions. And they're going to reduce, over this 10-year period, the budget deficit, the national deficit, which is going to be $20 billion. We're going to reduce it by 20 trillion. We're going to reduce it by less than 2 trillion. Does that make any sense? It doesn't. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, thank you so much for being here with us.